This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin. FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol. Live. It's a freaking Tuesday. It is New Year's Eve. Eve. That's not actually a thing. We got a fantastic show planned for you today. Liberty University students are rebelling against the school. Republicans in Georgia slinging the mud at Reverend Warnock and John Ossoff, while also trying to purge voters. Several cop stories because, of course, this is America. So we've got corruption in our police departments galore to talk about. COVID is 5 times deadlier than the flu. Unlike what you may have heard from some of your right-wing friends. Plus, we're going to talk about the $2,000 stimulus bill that, as I said, McConnell was going to block. It was Mitch McConnell today blocking the bill. Bernie Sanders swears he's going to filibuster the Defense Authorization Act in order to get the $2,000 stimulus checks sent out to the people. This is shaping up to be an interesting showdown, and we owe Bernie Sanders a lot of thanks on this one. As I said, if it actually got a vote in the Senate, it would probably pass. It has enough Republican support to pass. Trump is on board. We'll see what a representative had to say about why he voted against the bill. But first, we're going to start with some exciting news. I guess you could call it exciting. Perhaps frightening. The U.S. has confirmed its first case of the new strain of the coronavirus. Colorado health officials identified the first COVID-19 case caused by a contagious UK variant. The new strain could be as much as 70% more transmissible. I saw another report the other day that said 57% more transmissible. U.S. coronavirus vaccine czar. I did not even know that was a thing. That's the first time I've ever even heard that title uttered. Said earlier in December that the Pfizer and Moderna COVID-19 shots should be effective against the new strains. The first case of a new, potentially more infectious strain of COVID-19. We've already read that. That's the headline. Officials said the man who is in his 20s does not have a travel history. Currently in isolation. So that is scary as fuck. Because we haven't been taking the less contagious version seriously. And now this one's just going to be out here running rampant. Jesus Christ. On top of the fact that a new study has proven, unlike what the right-wingers have been screaming at the top of their lungs this entire time. I saw 3 of them say it today on a comment section. Well, it's just like the flu. You don't shut things down for the flu. Huh. 5 times deadlier than the flu. Plus, has a risk of long-term health effects. Lung damage, neurological damage. Some have severe damage to their kidneys or liver, while in others the muscles of the heart are dangerously inflamed. Despite reports of serious long-term health effects associated with COVID-19, and my concern, not only on the fact that it could have long-term health effects, could make you sterile, as we saw reports of that over the last couple of weeks. Not only am I concerned about the health effects of it, I'm concerned about what it's going to do to a population that doesn't have health insurance in this fucking country. Or is severely underinsured. And it's the people that we're asking to go out there and still be in the front lines working. Restaurant workers, gig workers, people that are likely to not have insurance. This has been a disaster. I can't believe I'm watching it. Meanwhile, LA County is to the point of having to turn away ambulances. They have patients in their gift shops. This is from the Los Angeles Times today. This was from this morning. The Los Angeles County Medical Center is at the breaking point came Sunday night. Not one available bed for at least 30 patients. And this is a story that we're seeing all over the country. Especially around rural areas in Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, Georgia have been closing hospitals for a couple of decades now. Consolidation, privatization of the medical industry is the reason for this. We're facing down the barrel of a horrendous disaster. I couldn't think of a way to say it that actually imparted the gravity of the situation. In some good news, though, the first patient to receive the COVID-19 vaccine has got the second shot. Margaret Keenan, the first person outside of trial to receive Pfizer's coronavirus vaccine, received her second dose on Tuesday, making her the first patient to be fully immunized against the coronavirus. Sky News reports that Keenan received her second dose at Coventry's University Hospital 3 weeks after her first dose was administered on December the 8th. Let's take a good look at Margaret here. What's going on, Margaret? Aw. I love her little penguin shirt. She don't look happy at all. But she's got the cutest little penguin shirt on that says Merry Christmas. Hell yeah, Margaret. Good for you, lady. The infrastructure for distributing the vaccines here in this country, absolute disaster. This is something that the federal government should have coordinated, but our inept administration has kicked the can down the road and just said, hey, states, you have the vaccines now. We're distributing it to you. You got to find a way to get it in people's arms. And the states are all like, we don't know how to get it in people's arms. They don't have funding for it. That's the bill. That's part of the money is the bill that Trump signed. What was it, Sunday night? With some of the money for the states to get ready to administer the vaccine that they have now. Testing sites should have been set up months ago. Or I mean, not testing sites. Testing sites should have been converted to vaccination sites months ago. But once again, our government is working against our best interest. I cannot recommend enough the movie on Hulu. What was the name of it? Totally Under Control, because it was something that Trump said at the beginning of the pandemic. Totally Under Control on Hulu. It is blatantly apparent that we would have been a lot better off fighting the coronavirus if the federal government had done nothing. The things that they did actively worked against our health professionals. It was a mess. So the Senate took up the $2,000 coronavirus stimulus, the coronavirus relief bill. Some politicians have taken to calling it survival checks, which is more what it is. Trump slams McConnell for blocking the vote on a $2,000 stimulus check. Because they passed it without they tried to pass it with unanimous consent. What that means is all they need is somebody to step up and vote no. It's like if there's no objections, it's going to pass. McConnell was the objection.
Moment, I will move to have the Senate take up the House bill to increase that number to $2,000, which I might add had broad bipartisan support.
Old Chucky Boy Schumer.
I don't want to hear that we can't afford it. I don't want to hear that it would.
And it seems like his people have been out warning AOC that, hey, you do not want that Senate seat in 2022.
A massive tax cut. Republicans just fought to include a tax break for 3 martini.
I wouldn't have said.
So I don't want to hear it.
I wouldn't have said that it was in AOC's best interest to run for that seat. But if Chuck Schumer's people are telling AOC not to run for it, fuck. Do it. Do the exact opposite of whatever the DNC is advocating for. Whatever leadership in the Democratic Party is advocating for, the Progressive Caucus should do the opposite.
That it costs too much to help working families get a check when they're struggling to keep their jobs.
And make no mistake about it. The only reason you're seeing Charles Schumer, the senator from New York, giving this impassioned plea right now is because he's feeling the pressure from the left flank of the party going into the 2022 race. I hope she at least puts out a committee, puts together a team, an exploratory committee to consider running for his Senate seat, just to keep putting the pressure on him, even if she doesn't actually run for it. Because I'm not sure that that's the best thing for her at this moment in her political career. And it seems like she's very focused on trying to learn the ropes and the machinations of Washington in order to be able to manipulate it. So far, so good. But AOC, if you happen to watch this show, you should at least signal towards the Schumer campaign that you may be interested in that seat of his. And keep nudging him to the left, even if you don't do it. If you did do it, though, I would donate. I'm just saying.
Pay their rent, feed their families, and live a halfway normal and decent life. Even in our deeply divided times, Madam President, this issue has united Americans from coast to coast and bridged the massive political divide here in Washington. A vast majority of the public, Republican and Democrat, strongly support $2,000 checks. An overwhelming bipartisan majority in the House supports 2,000 checks. Senate Democrats strongly support $2,000 checks. Even President Trump supports $2,000.
Even old Trumpy boy supports it. Come on.
There's one question left today. Do Senate Republicans join with the rest of America in support?
Some of them do. Some of the Republicans are on board in the Senate. I'll give them credit.
Republican colleagues have said they support the checks. But there's a major difference in saying you support $2,000.
Put food on your family.
Fighting to put them into law. The House bill is the only way to deliver these stimulus checks before the end of session. Will Senate Republicans fight for a vote on the House-passed Cash Act?
No, they won't.
Will they look some other way? Will Senate Republicans stand against the House of Representatives, the Democratic majority in the Senate, and the president of their own party?
But it's not so much Senate Republicans. It is, and that's calculated. They wanted Mitch McConnell to take that bullet. He's the one with the political cachet to be able to take the bullet. And shield all the rest of the Republican senators from liability. I don't think it's a smart move, though. But as you'll see, we've got some clips later on in the show. Democrats in Georgia are doing their best to tie Loeffler and Perdue to Mitch McConnell. Even though Loeffler, fuck her name up every time, I'm sorry. Even though Loeffler and Perdue have come out in support of the $2,000 checks. A very interesting dynamic that we've got going on here. Especially because of the, as we come up on the January 6th vote, I've seen several right-wingers say that they're rhinos now. They're leaving the Republican Party. They are 100% on the cult of Trump. And that the GOP has nothing else for them. I applaud these people. Go ahead. Please do it.
Party to prevent these $2,000 checks from going out the door. We're about to get the answers to these questions. So now,
And honest to God, this is probably like the first time in the last 20 years that I've been paying attention to politics that the Democrats have actually done something smart politically.
Madam President,
This right here.
would the senator...
It's sad that in my lifetime, the only reason Democrats have held power at all has been because the Republicans have been so inept and corrupt that they get voted out by a landslide. And the only other alternative is the Democrats. What's up, 16 Tones? It's sad that this is the first political maneuvering I've seen from the Democrats in the last 20 years. It's been effective. And part of the problem is Chuck Schumer has been in the leadership of the Democrats for the last 20 years.
Modify his request to include a unanimous consent request that to include unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 9051, a bill received from the House to increase recovery rebate amounts to $2,000 per individual, that the bill be read a third time and passed, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table with no intervening action.
Made and laid upon the table.
Is there objection?
That sounds kinky to me. made and laid upon the table.
To the modification.
Object.
Objection is heard.
And there's your objection from the turtle from Kentucky. See what Trump tweeted about it. What Trump tweeted about it. Unless Republicans have a death wish, they are an apocalyptic death cult. Yes, Trump. You're the leader of the party. You should know this. Unless Republicans have a death wish, and it's also the right thing to do, they must approve the $2,000 payments ASAP. $600 is not enough, he screams at us. Also, get rid of Section 230. Don't let big tech steal our country, and don't let the Democrats steal the presidential election. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how they're going to kill the bill. Mitch McConnell looks to be adding the 230 provision to the $2,000. McConnell moves to combine Trump asks in potential poison pill for stimulus checks.
The leaders of our country, President Trump.
Yeah, tell us about it, Bernie.
President-elect Biden, Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, are all in agreement. We have got to raise that direct payment to $2,000. So that is where we are.
For now. That's what we need now, immediately.
Do we turn our backs on struggling working families, or do we respond to their pain?
We need a much more robust program. Once Biden takes office, the Democrats take the Senate, that provides people maybe $1,200 a month retroactively, give people a shot. Fuck, that'd be like $7-8 grand going back to the beginning of the pandemic, going back to May when the HEROES Act was passed. It's only a band-aid to keep this capitalist hellscape moving. But it's some sort of a relief as we teeter on the verge of revolution in the country. I'm seeing a lot of right-wingers. They talk about their hatred of government. I had an argument with one today saying both parties suck. I'm like, dude, if you think both parties suck, you should be a fan of mine. You should be watching my show. You should be standing behind me. You should be in the streets with BLM. If there's a mass protest movement against the government, shouldn't you join it? No, he's a fucking bootlicker. He likes cops and shit. But you can't tell him he's far right, though. He's convinced he's a centrist. Upset about the people that Biden is putting in his cabinet because they're bought and paid for. I'm like, dude, have you seen the Trump administration? Like, it has been nothing but one gigantic theft by corporations. That's been the last 4 years. Am I happy about Biden's cabinet picks? Not at all. But like the people I would be happy with, the people that would combat the corporatism. I bring this up all the time. Right-wingers are now somewhat populist. They seem to be against the big business, they say. I think when they say they're against corporations, though, they only mean fucking Twitter and Facebook. Because that's what we're going to get into 230 here in a second. They say they're against corporations, and I tell them, well, do you know how you fight against corporate power? It's with all the programs you call socialist. God damn it. It kills me.
So, Madam President, would the senator modify his request that immediately following the vote on the veto override, the Senate proceed to the consideration of H.R.
He's talking about the National Defense
9051,
Authorization Act, the NDAA.
that the bill be considered read a third time and the Senate vote on passage of the bill without intervening action or debate. Further, that if passed, the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Made and
There
laid upon the
objection
table.
to the request for modification.
Object.
Objection is heard.
Fucking Mitch McConnell. Shortly before adjourning, the Senate on Tuesday afternoon introduced a bill to combine the increased direct payments with the repeal of online liability protections known as Section 230. What Section 230 does is, let's say if I do something that's illegal and I post it on a Google forum, YouTube, Twitter. Section 230 stops those companies from being able to be held liable for what I did. Child pornography. When you remove the 230 protections, what right-wingers don't understand is it's going to make tech companies far more restrictive of your speech, of what you can post, of who they're going to let online. Because they're going to be scared of being sued by dumb fucks. Apparently Trump is under the impression he can sue Twitter for defamation or some shit. For censoring? I don't even know. It doesn't make sense. If they repeal 230. So that's the reason why it's one of his pet projects. All because of the false information, little caveats they put over his tweets and shit. While the move doesn't guarantee McConnell will bring the bill up for a vote, it provides a substantive option should time and the political winds press the chamber in that direction. Schumer called it a cynical gambit and a blatant attempt to ensure that $2,000 direct payments were not signed into law. So I guess what he's saying is that Democrats aren't going to vote for it if it's attached to 230. McConnell thinks this is his get out of jail free card. But hey, now, why would we need $2,000 anyway? Why would the American people need $2,000? Representative Kevin Brady from Texas has some ideas of what Americans might spend a $2,000 check on.
Proposal by President Trump. Many Americans knew right then that leading Democrats were sabotaging the economy ahead of the election for political gain. During those crucial months, while Speaker Pelosi stalled COVID relief, thousands of Americans died. Tens of thousands of small businesses closed.
How did Speaker Pelosi stall COVID relief? The House passed 3 different bills.
Hospitals and nursing homes struggled, while millions of Americans were left jobless. In the election, Democrats in Congress paid a steep price for this cruel inaction, with voters giving House Republicans nearly 2/3 of the seats needed to take back the majority. I thank President Trump for
It is a slim majority for
even with its flaws.
Democrats now.
It included several separate bills.
Which honestly, we've already seen it early on, before the session has even started. The new Congress hasn't even been seated yet. The progressives have far more power. now that it's a razor-thin majority for the Democrats. And it's going to be, if the Democrats take the Senate, it's because it's going to be a tie. And the VP breaks the tie. Meaning the progressives still could wield more power. Bernie Sanders' vote becomes awful crucial to the Democrats being able to do anything. I'm kind of liking the way the Congress is shaping up. And so far, the progressives have done a good job of flexing their muscle and pushing the party to the left.
That hitched a ride on the annual funding bill for the government, including COVID relief, a first ever ban on surprise medical bills, and $328 billion in urgent tax relief for families and local businesses. I recognize that today's Cash Act will pass with bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats alike, and I respect the decision of each member of Congress. But for me, I worry that this whopping $463 billion won't do what's needed, stimulate the economy, or get the jobless back to work. At this point in the recovery, the fact is it's hard to stimulate a Main Street that's locked down by local politicians.
You want to put people back to work? There's a pandemic going on, dude. We need people to stay home. That's why we want to incentivize them, you dumb fuck.
This won't help local restaurants get their workers permanently back, or hospitality and convention industries rehire their workers.
Kansas soup for their
It
families.
won't help get energy workers back on the
And
job.
some twisted iced tea
Stimulate our local
to
economy.
wash it down with.
Not a lot. What we know is that much of this extra $1,600 will go to pay down credit card debt or savings, or even make new purchases online at Walmart.
Nah, shit, dude. People are going to use the money to pay their debt? That's what we want. Oh my God, do you understand? This is the right's fabled understanding of economics. We're totally going to have another economic meltdown before this is all said and done. Because it's going to be a cascade effects. People aren't going to be able to pay their bills. They're going to be evicted. We're counting down the days right now. We're 2 days away from the end of the month. You literal dickhead. You look like the tip of a penis. Yeah, this is just going to be another spike. And it's the pain that is going to be inflicted on the American people over the next month is going to be insane. Especially because Trump waited until after the unemployment benefits expired. People are going to have to re-sign up. It didn't just extend the current program they were on to where they'll get their checks next week. No, he let it lapse. They're going to have to go back through the system and file for unemployment again. All cock and no cattle. Where's the beef? This dude is upset that people are going to pay their fucking bills or put something back in their savings. Now, I'll agree with him about fucking Amazon. Don't buy some shit from Amazon. Buy some shit from your friend's Etsy store. Buy some shit from your friend that sells fucking soap. Buy some shit from your friend that has a candle shop. Buy your friend's t-shirts. Especially musicians. You got musician friends? You got people that are comedians that do live performances? They're really hurting right now. Buy some of their merchandise. Buy some dildos for yourself. That's the thing. I do not understand why half of this country isn't begging to let the government let us stay home and play with ourselves. Give us money we can spend on OnlyFans and the fucking PlayStation Store. It'd be fun. We all need a break from this capitalist hellscape. The pandemic could have been a nice opportunity. Level out some poverty. Let people catch a break. Learn to really respect sex workers like webcam girls on the OnlyFans. I like OnlyFans an awful lot. I only have one subscription right now. Oh, I thought my PS4 controller was over here. I was gonna grab it. Fuck this dude.
Economies, not a lot. What we know is that much of this extra $1,600 will go to pay down credit card debt or savings, or even make new purchases online at Walmart, Best Buy, or Amazon. So rather than merely sending checks to credit card companies, this $500 billion could more than double the number of small businesses and mid-sized businesses getting PPP forgivable loans to hire their workers and stay alive through the recovery.
Why not both?
Airline workers have secure jobs for more than just a few months and do more to replenish frontline healthcare workers. We should be focused on the families that are hurting most, none more than the 8 million Americans.
Well, I mean, we see what happens when you don't keep the bank solvent.
In addition to defeating the virus, is to get them.
We're in this crazy pattern
So far, Congress has already approved
of the working class letting the bankers just bleed money from
to
them
a family of 4
until the bank defaults and we have a recession.
of their state unemployment.
The
benefit.
government steps in, keeps the bank solvent,
For the jobless, this same huge amount of money today.
and it's a new real estate opportunity for people that want to move into neighborhoods
in their employer
and buy foreclosed homes.
$1,000 incentive to return to work.
It's a new opportunity for people to buy packaged debt.
Even give the bottom 90% of workers in
You
America.
know, that's one of the things that I found out when I got sued by a credit card company a couple of years ago. Like, they didn't get any money from me, but boy howdy, they sold my information all over the place. Lawyers, debt consolidation companies. I got all kinds of fucking mailers where they've just sold my information. They made their money off of me. It's these weird predatory industries. And it's a weird, I don't want to, I was going to call it like a symbiotic relationship, but they all feed off of each other. Like a symbiotic relationship would apply that they live in harmony and work together. We're coming up on the largest Cope rally yet. Parasitic indeed. But they're all sucking money on the outskirts, off of the people. I forget the point that I was fucking making. I had a cogent thought, I swear. Once again, I'm in don't give a fuck mode for the holidays. I had swore off smoking while I was on the air. But fuck it, I'm high as shit. So I lose my train of thought every now and again. Here we have former Pence aide. I believe this is the guy that wrote the op-ed in the New York Times that he was the resistance inside the White House. This was back in probably 2017, maybe 2018. It might have been towards the midterms. in 2018. But he wrote the op-ed for the New York Times about how he was working from inside the White House. He's since come forward. God, probably like 6 months ago he came out. Not as gay, but as the
just mentioned, and that's the
as the author of the op-ed. He is worried about what is going to happen on January the 6th.
January 6th, and the plan
thank you for correcting
here
me.
in Washington, protests that the president himself is even tweeting about, encouraging people to come to Washington to attend, and the fear of violence. And in the final days of his administration, whatever happens is going to play on his legacy. And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, how do these last few days, and particularly what could happen on January 6th, how will that play into President Trump's legacy?
Well,
President Trump's
I'm
legacy.
actually very concerned that there will be violence on January 6th because the president himself is encouraging it. This is what he does. He tweets, he incites it, he gets his followers and supporters to behave in this manner. And these people think that they're being patriotic because they are supporting Donald Trump.
He can't even spell legacy. It's true.
I think, in terms of his legacy, this is a president who calls himself the president of law and order. And we have seen anything but that. Right? We had a bombing on.
This is exactly what we're in for on January the 6th. Cope again, and cope some more. Producer Dave messaged me earlier and said that he was going to carry the rally live. I might pop in with you guys. I was going to carry the proceedings on the floor. So me being the political wonk that I am, but you guys may be onto something. The more interesting shit may be going down. But also, I want to stop giving Trump so much oxygen. We're out of the Trump era now. But we're masochists, we want to watch the Cope rallies and see the people, the maggots, making fools of themselves.
On Christmas Day, we've had protests in the streets. This is all out of control. The divisiveness is through the ceiling because of this man who continues to stoke the flames of these extreme, far-right people who show up and think that he's calling out to them. And so if that's the legacy that he wants, he certainly has it. And it will follow him, I think.
So was I wrong? Was this not... I said the guy that wrote the op-ed for the New York Times. I got this completely wrong. Did she write the op-ed for the New York Times? Former aide to Vice President Mike Pence was opining on recent comments. Oh, this is a different person that was in Pence's office. So I guess this isn't the one that wrote the op-ed in the New York Times. My apologies. I was off. We have so many different former Trump and Pence aides that finally came to their senses after, they helped him destroy the country. So this is a wild one out of Arizona. This fucking cop said if the mayor defunds the police, he's going to shoot her. I believe he made these comments months ago. It's just now coming out. On the afternoon of October 21st, 7 Phoenix police officers gathered for a briefing in a Cave Creek station when the meeting diverged into a discussion about the defund the police movement. When Officer Stephen Polis expressed his thoughts, the room went quiet. If the mayor defunds the police, I'm going to shoot her. Polis's sergeant recalled hearing the officer say, referring to Mayor Kate Gallego. The sergeant broke the silence, saying, "You're not going to shoot the mayor." Polis doubled down, "That's a promise," he responded. The comments were detailed in a Tempe police report recently released to the Arizona Republic as part of the public records request. Some officers said they remember it differently. One of them said, if they defund us, the first person on my list is the mayor. A third officer remembered Polis saying, if they defund the police, I'll go over to the mayor's house and shoot it up. I believe it's clear that it was indeed a violent threat. But the officers said that they believed that he would not act on the threat because he was just venting. These are the kind of people that we have in power that just vent. Joke around about how they're going to shoot the mayor. It looks like Polis backtracked and told the sergeant that his comments were a joke. I don't know why they made a big deal about it. It was just a joke, he told the sergeant. The Phoenix Police Department asked Tempe Police to criminally investigate the case. Phoenix Police also opened an internal affairs investigation to determine if Polis violated any policies. By the way, the cop still has a job. Threatens the mayor. What employer, if you or I, not threatened anybody on our job, but threatened our boss, don't you think we'd be fired immediately? This is one of the reasons why I'm so upset about the police union in this country. It has way too much power. But while we're talking about firing cops, at least we got some good news coming out of Louisville. Earlier today, they announced that one more cop that was involved in the raid on the Breonna Taylor apartment was going to be fired right before we came on the air. Whoa. Found out that a second cop will be fired. This brings it to 3 total. Ooh. The Louisville Metro Police Department plans to fire 2 more officers involved in the investigation that led to Breonna Taylor's death at her home in March. One of those is Detective Joshua Janes, who requested the warrant that brought officers to Taylor's doors in March, as we've talked about. Lied to obtain a warrant. The other is Detective Miles Cosgrove, one of the central figures in the state's probe into her killing. I believe the other one was Mattingly. Mattingly was the one that was fired back in June, July. I'm not sure. It's been a weird year. I'm not exactly. I'm not the best judge of time anyway. It was always the other day to me, even though it was years ago. But this year especially, I have no clue. As I've freaked many people out about, the impeachment of Donald Trump was this year. That was earlier in January. It's been a wild ride. News of the planned terminations broke Tuesday, months after the raid. The attorney for Cosgrove also confirmed that his client had received a pre-termination notice. See, they don't even just get fired outright. They get pre-termination notices? What the fuck? In more infuriating news, the feds have announced that no charges will be filed against the officers that shot Tamir Rice. Now, if you don't remember this was the kid that was playing in a park. This happened in 2014, November 22nd, 2014 in Cleveland.
I started screaming verbal commands. Put your hands in the air, put your hands in the air, let me see your hands, freeze.
Pops out of the car, shoots him within like 4 seconds. This is just a kid playing with a toy gun in a park.
I presented my gun, through the window, so,
window down?
It was closed, I believe, not 100%. I believe it was closed. It was that quick where the black male
He believes his window was closed.
Reached in his waistband, pulled up the weapon, and that's, at that time I was probably about like this, and that's when I had to fire 2 shots. He did not punch out or present it, because when he got about this far, that's when I shot. Because I believe there was a threat to myself and my partner, and it was, in order to kill us or harm us.
The grand jury declined.
Because once again, that is what they are taught. They are trained to perceive everybody and everyone as a threat. And that's just not the way you should be treated in a constitutional republic where you have freedom. And I really do not understand how right-wingers bootlick the cops. You're supposed to be anti-government. They're the first ones to defend these actions.
To bring criminal charges against Cleveland police officers Timothy Lohman and Frank Garbeck.
Well, we need to let everyone know that this is unacceptable.
Well, they no longer face federal charges. Because, of course, the Trump DOJ isn't going to prosecute cops. So the Republicans are on the attack in Georgia, and I love it. And this is one of the things...
Trucking through the streets of Atlanta, 2 electronic billboards with a blunt Democratic...
The story that we're getting ready to talk about is about how the Republicans have been slinging mud. But I found this fascinating. I actually watched a little bit of this video.
Message. Voting
this
for
is a
Democrats
Democratic strategist.
Could lead to stimulus cash.
You are a PAC.
I am a super PAC, correct.
But you don't live in Georgia.
I don't live in Georgia.
John Jones is a longtime Democratic strategist, and this is the work of Relation PAC.
So they're trying to tie both Kelly Loeffler. I fuck her name up every time. They're trying to tie Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue to Mitch McConnell. I love it because it's creating this rift in the Republican Party. For most of my life, the conservatives have been lockstep. Rich criminal robot. Also known as, that's her AKA. Most of my life, Republicans have been in complete lockstep with each other. You couldn't... A rift like this in the GOP was unheard of. And the only way that they've even been able to win elections is because they all stay together as one block. So maybe finally, pundits talked about it back in 2007, they said a Republican would never win an election again. Republicans will never control anything in Washington again. It was a quick reversal in 3 years. That Congress looked completely different just a few years later. But finally, we're seeing a rift in the Republican Party that may very well split it in half. And here's the cool thing, is there's people on the Republican side, there's enough money over there, they may be able to actually put together a legitimate third party. Now, I'm not so sure that get Biden bucks is the most effective messaging. I feel like that'd totally play into the Republicans' hands. All the Democrats are just looking for handouts. It harkens back to the Obama phones. The government welfare arguments that they made back during the Obama administration. But hey, if the Republicans are going to say it anyway, maybe you should lean into it. Take the effectiveness off of it. I'm torn on this one. I personally don't like it. I think it's kind of gaudy. But Republicans have run some additional misleading ads attacking both Democratic candidates, Raphael Warnock and Jon Ossoff. One of them was a Loeffler ad about his comments about people in jail.
Substance.
So these are the comments.
Seen as an illegal substance. It's a terrible irony, and we feel it. That right now in America, there are some folk who are becoming billionaires for selling the same stuff that's got our children locked up all across America. Where is the justice? It's not enough to decriminalize marijuana. Somebody's got to open up the jails and let our children go. Somebody.
Oh, so I assume that they just use somebody's going to open up our jails and let our children go? They just use that in an ad? Wow. I'm telling you, I didn't like the guy that much until the Republicans started attacking him. I started looking up the rebuttals to all their attacks. Like, oh, shit. He's a pretty cool dude. An ad from Senator David Perdue's campaign claims that Ossoff could face federal investigation for initially omitting certain payments from his Senate financial disclosure forms. The supposed basis for this assertion that Ossoff could face federal investigation is the fact that the Georgia Republican Party, I've talked about this before. The Republicans love filing a complaint with the FEC against a Democrat and then turning around and using it as, oh, the Democrat's under investigation. Yeah, you're the one that filed the complaint against them. The investigation is just like they're obligated to investigate them because you filed the fucking complaint. It's a very common tactic. Is the fact that the Georgia Republican Party sent a letter to the Senate Ethics Committee asking for an investigation. That's what they mean. Like, they don't even get an actual investigation, like, sent somebody out for a courtesy. No, they sent an ethics complaint and then cited that as evidence that he could be facing an investigation. These people are fucking shameless. Alright, so now there's another attack on Warnock. And this one has police footage. Pretty much, man. So, Warnock's ex-wife told Atlanta police officers that her husband was a great actor after he denied her claims that he ran over her foot with his car. And this is from an incident from back in March. And apparently it aired on Tucker Carlson. Old Tucky boy.
A highly political preacher who's now running.
It's not letting me make it full screen.
For Senate in the state of Georgia.
I'm sorry.
Two races that will determine who controls the federal government. That race is 2 weeks from now, on January 5th. So it's a little late in the game to be getting the footage we're about to show you exclusively. This is footage of Raphael Warnock's wife. Fox News senior correspondent Rick Leventhal has the story for us tonight. Hey, Rick.
Hey, Tucker, this is never-before-seen video at Tucker Carlson Tonight, exclusive. Georgia Democratic Senator candidate Raphael Warnock accused by his now ex-wife Ule of running over her foot. Here is the police body cam footage as the officer responds to the scene.
I want to file a report.
Ule Warnock told an Atlanta police officer her estranged husband ran over her foot during a heated argument back in March while he was trying to leave with their young children in the back seat.
All right, so you walked over.
So I'm like, move, and she won't move, and she's keeping the door open. So I'm like, Chloe, just stay in the car. And I move, and I close my car door, get in the car, and I start to move slightly, thinking she's here.
Clear.
Yeah, I'm thinking she's clear, and I barely move, and all of a sudden she's.
So this is hilarious. No charges.
I don't believe it. But I don't.
Warnock,
he comes across great in the body camera footage. Calm, cool, collected.
First responders say his wife was able to wiggle her toes, and there was no redness, bruising, or broken bones. But Ule had more to say about Warnock's character.
This man's running for United States Senate, and all he cares about right now is his reputation. I work at the mayor's office, and this is a big problem. I've been trying to be very quiet about the way that he is.
I am so goddamn tired of right-wingers never knowing what they're talking about. The thing that happened at the camp or some shit wasn't him touching kids. Some cops tried to badger some kids about an investigation. He made sure that those kids had legal representation, as they should have. Do your fucking research and learn what the fuck you're talking about. I swear, right-wingers are fucking morons. But it doesn't matter. Because this is another example of how right-wing propaganda works. Tucker Carlson mentioned something about a camp, somebody charged with sexual abuse. You never fucking did the research to actually find out what happened. Funny that you should come in right as we talked about Republican attacks on Raphael Warnock. Right-wingers revel in their fucking ignorance. But now, luckily, a federal judge has blocked the Republican Party from trying to do voter purges in 2 counties. Federal judge in Georgia on Monday ordered 2 counties to reverse a decision, removing more than 4,000 voters from the rolls ahead of the January 5th runoff election. Another tactic of right-wingers. They fight dirty all the time. And that's the thing. I have to listen to them bitch about how Joe Biden stole an election. Right-wingers have stole every fucking election in my lifetime. Jesus Christ. From gerrymandering, voter purges, flat out lies, yellow journalism. Jesus Christ. The bulk of the registrations that the county sought to rescind, more than 4,000, was from Muskogee County, which Biden won handily in November. Oh, I wonder why they would want to try to purge that county ahead of the runoff election. Crooked pieces of shit. All right, so let's end the night with a heartwarming story. 7-year-old Tennessee boy goes back into a burning house
family went to sleep,
and saves his baby sister.
Fire. Everyone was able to make it out safe.
Holy shit.
That's because Eli, at just 7 years old, went back into the flames to save his 22-month-old sister who was sleeping in her crib. Nicole Davison, Eli's mother, says she woke up in the middle of the night to smoke and flames coming from the living room. She and her husband tried to put it out and get the children to safety, but they could not get to their 22-month-old daughter's room from the inside. That's when Eli helped to rescue her from the outside.
Well, Dad busted the window, and then I said, I can't do it about 2 times, and then I said, I got her, Dad. And then when we got down there, I said that I was scared, but I didn't want my sister to die.
South Claiborne Volunteer Fire Department responded to the fire along with nearby departments. Nicole says investigators have not determined the official cause of the fire. Erica Lunsford, WVLT News.
It's heartbreaking, especially because I think it happened on Christmas. Oh no, it was December 8th. I wonder why this story is just now getting out. The night of December the 8th, Davison home caught fire. Oh, he's been fostered with the family for almost a year. Leapt into action to save his 22-month-old sister. The update says that it looks like an electrical fire started the blaze that took out the house. But kudos to that little dude. Alright, that'll do it for me. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. I'll see you tomorrow night. You enjoy your... Fuck, I fucked your name up. You enjoy myself. I still like your name, dude. It's funny. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.